Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 6th episode. On this episode of the Long Overdue podcast, we're going to cover the topic of resignations. A lot of people in high places right now, particularly in Congress, in the Senate, have announced that they're kind of fed up for working for the administration and they're looking to leave their seats vacant and up for grabs for the upcoming election coming next year. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about certain department leads and department secretaries that may be doing some crazy, wild, off the rails shit, and maybe them getting either impeached, fired, or otherwise. And if they resign, it would be a blessing from God himself. So without further ado, let's get into this first topic.
It's with a heavy heart that the Long Overdue podcast must inform you guys that tensions continue to escalate in international waters. To give a quick recap, the United States in September of 2025 has conducted missile strikes in the Caribbean against alleged drug cartels and criminal networks. News outlets continue to report that these strikes have persisted with lethal force against unarmed Venezuelans all the way up to November 27th of this year. So far, 87 civilians have been killed in approximately 22 strikes against small recreational vessels coordinated by the U.S. military. No one, not even the self-proclaimed Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who oversaw these operations, is willing to take accountability for these blatant war crimes. So, when it comes to the topic of resignation, what do you think?
What do I think about the fucking wannabe Giga Chad, unfortunate soy boy that can't do a fucking pull-up, Mr. fucking Pete Hegseth, and whether or not he should resign is honestly probably the furthest from the actual issue at hand and what's actually going to occur. So to contextualize this offense, currently there are 3 guided missile destroyers, 1 guided missile cruiser, 1 attack submarine, 1 littoral combat ship, the 22nd Marine Expedition Unit manning the USS Iwo Jima, the San Antonio, and the USS Fort Lauderdale, all forming a perimeter on the northern coastline of Venezuela, which adds up to 2,500 Marines and 2,000 Navy soldiers in total, not including the now over 10 F-35 jets that are stationed in Puerto Rico as backup aviary support. So trust me when I say no one, and I mean no one, is looking to resign. There's not even a single individual who will take the fall for the set of international laws that have already been broken by the United States military. So truly, and I mean truly, nothing will change. And further escalations will arise if there is no impeachment announced at the turn of the year. This is what I think. The U.S. government is obviously already stationed for war. They're already stationed to do some kind of like pseudo coup offense against Maduro, right? They kind of want Venezuelans to take that historic $50 million bounty so that they don't actually have to deploy anybody to actually coordinate this assassination. But I'm telling you, it's in the works. It's going to happen no matter what. Whether Pete Hegseth is there or not, whether he resigns, whether he gets fired, impeached, whatever, the pieces are already in play. This isn't comparable to like a chessboard scenario. This is the U.S. military queening a bunch of fucking checkers and they're about to go ballistic. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any accountability. I think it's going to keep getting tossed back and forth between particular individuals. Admiral Frank Bradley ended up taking the fall for Pete Hegseth's on-record declaration to do a second strike on a civilian boat. He's just going to keep pushing the blame onto other people. It's just going to create this cascading effect until one person gets out of power. It doesn't matter. We've already seized an oil tanker. There's no way we're going back from this because this is what it's all really about.
So what pisses me off is this whole thing started because they were smuggling drugs in the country. But none of those boats can make it anywhere near the U.S. without refueling multiple times. It doesn't make sense. Why go in those boats? There's other ways to do it. And also, Venezuela doesn't smuggle drugs into the country. Other countries do that. If they did, it's definitely not fentanyl. Like, it would be cocaine. They're claiming it's fentanyl, so like they didn't do their own research.
No, they absolutely did not. And here's the thing, dude. We talk about this like whole fentanyl epidemic like it's not a commonly used FDA-approved drug in every hospital across the United States. It's just a stronger painkiller than morphine. It's a more fast-acting painkiller, but less sustainable in the long run. The communities most affected by fentanyl are typically the borderline states and even the most affected state, like say New Mexico. There's been a 30% decline in drug-related deaths involving fentanyl every year since 2023. Those deaths don't even accumulate to like maybe car deaths in the state in itself. On record since 2021, the peak casualties caused by overdosing on fentanyl was like 571 annual. And that, like I said, that's been steadily decreasing by 30% for every year after those statistics came out. And I'm not saying that those communities aren't affected. They've obviously effectuated public housing rehabilitation centers for their public to kind of get back on track. And so kudos to the leadership and community members in New Mexico. But that's the extent of fentanyl abuse, right? So all of this like hysteria is truly just
a distraction.
Yeah, it's just a fabricated narrative to push because the war
They
on
want the oil.
drugs always the easiest way to further stigmatize marginalized communities, especially the Latin community.
I mean, they're calling it a weapon of mass destruction, so it's basically the new Iran, and they want to use people's emotions to like get them to want this war. They know they need Congress to approve it, but like if they get enough people riled up, or at least that's what they think, that's their thought process, then Trump will be like, oh, here I am to save everyone and start the war you guys want. I think it was on Fox when they were asking, what's this really for? And they were talking about oil. Like, they already know it's about oil, and then like the fact that they're not even hiding it is kind of sad.
When people tell you, oh, it's all about oil because of just the fact that Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, more than Saudi Arabia, you'll hear that line, but you won't know the reasons why the U.S. wants involvement. The reason why Trump is so heavily invested in trying to oust Maduro due to the fact that they've lost Venezuelan relation. After Trump announced like his horrible tariff deals against Latin America, a lot of Latin American countries decided to pull back and then no longer do business or renew contracts with the United States and do regular trade deals. That includes oil. So because Trump is the worst economic president in history, especially in the second term, to pedal back on all this stupid shit like the fucking $40 billion bailout and then like trying to compensate farmers by like paying them out like $160,000, whatever the fuck the stupid like consolation prize was, and all this fucking economic disaster that's happening domestically. The reason why we're actually about to go to war with Venezuela is because we fucked up brokering deals with the country in itself, and therefore Russia, China, and the Middle East have a higher stake in the largest oil reserve in the world than we do. And so to get back in, we're trying to take it by force. And we've already taken one oil tanker by force. There was already a declaration that they weren't going to allow any oil tankers to enter or exit the Venezuelan coastline at all, right? Which means that they plan to steal more of them. And it's just a giant mess. But
also,
Congress is pussy. The Republicans are pussy, and the Republicans are bullshit.
Bootlickers.
And I'm not saying that in the sense of, oh yeah, we're leftists, we hate Republicans. I'm saying like just fucking spineless cowards
American citizens
have like regularly been trying to like get their names into the news by speaking out against administration will still vote for shit like this on the House floor. There was like a vote like yesterday or like 2 days ago. The date of recording is December 18th. Today we folded on a Democratic proposed bill that would put barriers and limitations in terms of like what the U.S. military is allowed to exercise as they occupy the Caribbean. And so I just want to end with this. For those 4,500 individuals in the Navy and Marines that sought out this deployment and do not willingly resign by the end of January, then the people that decided to stay are just a bunch of oil-hungry, oil-stealing, bloodthirsty jagoffs. So fuck a dishonorable discharge. You signed up to do this administration's bidding. You've already brought dishonor on this country that claims to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. It is with great cowardice that any and all of these dumbass idiots at the top will dodge accountability, throw your body in front of the bullet, blame another uninvolved party that may or may not even exist, and on top of that, never admit fault. So to all these men and women at sea right now carrying out these heinous, illegal acts, fuck your rank and file, fuck your chain of command, go back home, reflect on your oath, read the Constitution, or die doing something stupid and foolish for a bunch of fascists that don't give a fuck about the safety and future of America. And I promise you, we won't remember you fondly.
So moving on to question 2. Though Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene definitely seems to be the catalyst for sudden exodus of conservatives in Congress, there are at least 5 other Republican Congress members resigning or retiring from public office, such as Texas House Representatives Troy Nehls, Jody Arrington, Michael McCall, and Morgan Luttrell, as well as Mr. Don Bacon of Nebraska. MTG in her resignation speech states, "Our country is worth saving, and it can only be done if we pull together and save ourselves." With this in mind, what future does the current Republican Party have? And in what ways do you think Republicans resigning from office would be most effective to achieve MTG's and presumably every conservative's goal of saving the nation?
To answer the second question, if the joint goal is to save the country, as early as January 5th, Marjorie Taylor Greene is finally going to step down as a congressional representative. If the Republicans really, really wanted to help us out, like really, really, really do the nation a solid, everyone should meet that benchmark and try to leave by that time frame. Don't do what Troy Nehls announced in terms of finishing your term, because what the fuck are you gonna do? The best way that these 6 individuals that claim that they're done, that they're fed up, that they're tired, best way that they can do their job is to assure that their votes are abstentions or no votes. We don't even want their ability to input a yay or a nay past January 5th. We want them the fuck out of there. To actually heal the country and minimize your influence, just leave early. Don't finish out your fucking term. Don't fucking, pull the strings behind the scenes and just like make it seem like kind of doing the benevolent thing by like differentiate yourself from your party, because that's all bullshit optics. We know that's bullshit optics. If MTG runs for a different seat that isn't her already congressional representative seat in the future, then we know all of this was just bullshit optics, right? So how about we skip this step and fuck whoever the fuck you are. All these people will remain nameless to us, aside from having to cite them in this particular episode because we don't want to give you false information. Fuck Troy Nehls. Fuck all these other people from Texas. Fuck whoever the fuck was from Nebraska. I already forgot. I'm not going to even look at my script because if you're not doing your job right now to save Americans' healthcare, to save Americans' Social Security, right? Then what the fuck are you doing in power at all? Take your paycheck and fucking bounce, bro. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'll give you your Christmas bonus, right?
Do us all a favor.
Figure, you name it, bro. I'll write you a fucking blank check. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, what do you mean? So, in my eyes, that's the best way a Republican can actually help effectuate change, is by not even being able to abstain, not even being able to put a yay or nay in. Just leave the seat empty, bro. But unfortunately, due to these circumstances and due to the fact that most of these people are bad faith actors, just like looking to get a little bit of clout so they can sit with a little bit of cushion and just take up some kind of local state representative role. Most of this is just a grift. I think MTG wouldn't have been doing like a bunch of press tours if she had not had plans to re-enter the media space in the future. When you ask me the question, what do I think the future of the Republican Party holds? I think we have yet to see their full strategy unveil, but I still think that they're gonna have a commanding influence over the legislation to come in the next 3 years still. Right now, we're trying to fix the numbers to finally get a block in. Right. For example, Representative Jasmine Crockett gave up her seat to the next Democrat in line for her Senate bid. Being able to cop a seat in a congressional position in which there are fewer members holding you back from gaining a majority, I think is good. I heard that AOC is also take a Senate seat rather than run for president of the United States, even though right now she's kind of like shitting on JD Vance.
Yes. Amazing.
the absolute
Love that.
clapback, publicly affirmed in every single polling ever. Stomp. I'm not saying that this is bad, but if we look at the numbers right now, the balance of power is Bloomberg government chart to show me a graph of every single seat. Currently, right now, the balance of power in the Senate is 45 Democrats, 2 independents, and 53 Republicans. I know that the squad is developing progressive senators on the East Coast side right now, so I can't say for sure how many seats are actually going to be taken up, but all I know is that we have like 1 confirmed and 2 vague bids for the Senate race. At a ratio of 45 to 53, with 2 independents, and Being an independent doesn't mean fucking anything. Being an independent just means you're a liberal, which means you're fiscally conservative, which means you're more than likely going to vote Republican. There's also the 8 senators that faltered when it came to trying to defend against the healthcare premium spikes, which is the reason for the government's shutdown earlier. So we know that even if Jasmine Crockett and AOC do cop Senate seats, this figure is kind of misleading. It's actually -8 plus Chuck Schumer. The Senate is operating at -10 seats right now. It's a 35 to 53 ratio. I don't think it's going to be enough. Having an influence like Alejandra and Crockett in the Senate in terms of their ability to just persuade and convince people to vote in their direction is going to be good. They're going to effectuate proper speech, right, rather than the abuse of the filibuster that typically goes on in the Senate. Those are the only positives. Mathematically speaking, though, Ace, to answer your question, the Republicans are sitting pretty. We're going to have small victories to raise morale as just a progressive movement, but litigiously speaking, it's not going to be enough.
The midterms are still a thing, though, and that, I think, that's what the Republicans are afraid of. I'm going to answer my own first question here. I think in order for Republicans to stand a chance, they need to really swing to the left, but, like, still stay on the right of the political spectrum, I guess, because, like, they can't just get ultra-conservatives now because no one's going to vote for them. If they play their cards right, they have a chance to maintain their numbers, but with how angry everyone is, well, their congressmen and their senators and the administration, Trump is underwater when it comes to polls. And if they know, like, oh, we have to vote for people who aren't going to just be yes men to Trump, they have to do what we want, not what Trump wants. Even if they have a majority, I think would be a safer nation just having Republicans that will have a spine, you know? And I think that's what they want. Obviously, the goal is to have, for the Democrats to just completely dominate in the midterms. Then we will have the numbers to, like, hold the power, at least in this branch of government. I think at its worst, the Republicans that are going to win aren't going to be kiss asses to Trump. They're going to have a spine or they're not going to survive.
You're kind of right. Yeah, there is a pressure. I think midterms will be a stall. We will need to see for there to actually be legislative pushback against the executive branch and the Supreme Court. Next year, we would have to see the biggest blue wave in history, 3 times bigger than what we just did.
They had to get through Hoover to get to FDR. I think we're going to have the second coming of that for sure. People say I'm pessimistic. I think I'm a realist, but I think even the realist in me is being optimistic with how next year's going to turn out. Sure, we're going to have to weather the storm that is, you know, the Trump administration, whatever the regime like is going to do next year, especially for like the first half, especially before the midterms, and especially, you know, they're going to do everything they can to possibly even stop the elections. Like, we have to weather all that. And once the people, you know, make their voices heard by voting, so, you know, please vote, keep that in mind, people, then and only then will we have a fighting chance against Trump. And yeah, it's going to be slow and it's going to be a long process, but, you know, maybe we can impeach and remove him from office. Like, wouldn't that be a dream? The next Democrats that win, they also have to put in a lot of work because it's not going to be easy at all.
We're going to have a strange 2026. 2026 is going to feel like multiverse of madness. There's going to be a lot going on. Hopefully us as the theoretical America Chavezes in this scenario can use our super Mexican strength to punch a hole in these multiple dimensions of just horrible timelines, just kind of nick evil in the butt for as long as we can keep it down. It's the 18th of December, getting close to the holidays. We obviously wanted to theme and both end this video with a light sentiment. Our closing statement for the year of 2025 is: what do we hope to accomplish in the political arena as a channel in the coming year? And what do we expect to happen? So this question came to us in spirit and literally scripted by Mac D. Let's give this one a whirl. What do we hope to accomplish as a channel in 2026?
Honestly, I hope we can at least get 100 subscribers on YouTube. That way, at least we know our voices are being heard. It'll definitely motivate us to keep going because it is difficult. We're just bombarded with bad news all the time. We're living from like through historical event after historical event after, like, it's crazy. And then at the rate we get the news, it'd be nice to have some guests in the future as well. I mean, what if we can have a Newsom on or something like that, or AOC? I mean, that's a pipe dream, but like, we can make it a goal. Maybe after we reach a certain amount of followers, people will take notice and want to have a conversation with us, because I feel like the Central Valley in California is neglected by a lot of politicians. So if we can bring some awareness to this area, that would do us a lot of good. What about you, Alan?
Those are very good and hopeful goals. In terms of metrics, I think 100 subscribers is achievable. for sure. I think we can do that for as long as all of our viewers, and we know that we have higher concentrations of viewers consuming that short form content on all platforms, on our Instagram, on our TikToks, and Twitter. We know we have good numbers. It's just the fact that we don't have subscribers for the long form content, which is fine. You know, it's a different generation. You know, not too hard on ourselves for a slow start. But if everybody could go to the main channel, go to the links in every single one of the bios, and hit that like and subscribe button on all of our long form content that do us plenty good to get our exposure up and to get all this information to a wider audience, which is honestly, for me personally, I guess the goal over accolades, fame, yada yada. That's secondary to the truth. The focus of the Long Overdue podcast is to give you something that's real and something that hasn't been said yet. My goals, it's very similar to what you said, is that I want to do more interview based and guest based content. I do want to get that content started on a regular basis, and then I also want to do at least 8 live events, either solo missions between Ace and I, or jointly together, like just showing up to some kind of a community rally or protest, like we've been doing earlier this year for different organizations. That's something I actually want to record, because I think the overall media, especially in the Central Valley, is kind of lackluster. People haven't really figured out how to zhuzh it up. We can do that. There's a space for that. Thank you everybody for joining us for our last episode of 2025. I'm Alan 4G. Magdi just joined us for the end. A705. We thank you all for watching, and we hope you guys have a great, happy, safe holidays, and we'll see you guys next year.